Hi, this is Kirk Smith, Executive Director for the Illinois Christian Home Educators, and welcome to Take 5 with I.C.H.E. We have dedicated this month to talking about home discipleship. Last week we talked about home discipleship as compared to simply homeschooling. Home discipleship includes knowing God and His Word, teaching our kids to have godly character traits, to have service projects and work projects. And of course, we do include academics. I also added some others down there. If we had more space, some other items that can be included in home discipleship. Job training for the future, teaching our kids a biblical worldview, how we recreate, community involvement. Home economics is huge in the homeschooling community. Animal care, lessons from nature, church involvement, music, physical activities. All of these go underneath home discipleship. Now, one of the most important things for us as homeschoolers, Christian homeschoolers, is knowing God and knowing God's work, His Word. And the verse that you hear most often, of course, is in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. And so what we want to do today in the next few weeks is to talk about how we disciple in the context of those four situations. First of all, let's talk about when we rise up and lie down. There's many ways to flesh this out. In our home, how we encourage our kids to know God by rising up and by going down is through personal devotions. We expect all of our kids who can read to read age-appropriate amount of Bible. It may be a few verses for the younger kids, a chapter for the next level on up, 5 chapters for some, and others read even more than that. And of course, as the father and mother, we too have our own personal Bible time. You know, I think a lot of times we parents say, go do this, and that's not the way it works. Our kids need to see us reading God's Word as well as us seeing them. And I must tell you, one of the greatest blessings of my life was one morning I was sitting just inside our house and reading my devotions in my chair, and I could see in my boys' room, and my 7-year-old son was on the bottom bunk, had his light turned on underneath the upper bed, and was reading his Bible. We do a lot of things wrong, I'll be very honest with you, but when you see things like that, that's what makes it all worthwhile. So, how do we do devotions in our home? After private devotions, we also have a family devotions. Now, fortunately, with my work, I get to be home most of the time, and especially in the morning. Those of you who have long commutes and leave early, I know this will be a challenge for you, and you must ask God for wisdom on how you can do this creatively. I think it's very important when men can to lead devotions. It's not that moms can't, but I think it's very powerful when dads do for 2 reasons. First of all, we show our sons this is what a godly man does. And secondly, we show our daughters this is what a godly man does as well. When we do a family devotion, we simply just read through the Bible. We'll pick a different book, and we'll just start in chapter 1, verse 1, and go through that book, usually a chapter a day. Right now, for example, we're in Mark. I do some of the reading, and I also ask my kids to do some of the reading to keep them paying attention. Throughout the reading, I might say we're at verse 3 or at verse 9. Sometimes I don't say what verse we're at, and I'll call on the kids, and you read the next verse. And if they're not following along, they get scolded. I expect them to be paying attention. Now, some dads are intimidated by devotions. It does not have to be a 3-point hermeneutically correct message. Guys, it's just simply reading God's Word. If you can give a few commentaries, that's great. But we shouldn't stress out about it. It's more important that you do devotions than that you have this great long explanation of that chapter. Consistency is so important. Nevertheless, there's been times we've missed 2 or 3 days in a row. We don't get upset. We don't get mad at ourselves. We'll just quit it. We just pick up where we're at and we take off again. Don't let the devil condemn you because you missed a day or 2. You can be creative as well. There are times when I'm on the road for 2 or 3 days at a time. And we have gotten the family together here at the house, my wife has, and we've Skyped devotions in the evening. We either read the Bible at night as well, or I might read a story to the kids of some kind. So we just mix it up. It doesn't have to just be the Bible both morning and night. It can be a godly bibliography of some kind. A magazine article that we can discuss. So the idea is that we are about teaching God, knowing God, and knowing the Word. That's when we rise up and when we go down. Next couple of weeks we'll talk about when we sit down and when we walk throughout the day. I encourage you on this wonderful journey called Home Discipleship to embrace the Spirit of God and to ask Him to show you how to teach your kids at home. This is Kirk Smith with Take 5 with I.C.H.E. God bless.